Welcome to the Recruitment Hackers Podcast, a show about innovations, technology, and leaders in the recruitment industry. Brought to you by TalkPush, the leading recruitment automation platform.
Hello, and welcome back to the Recruitment Hackers Podcast. I'm your host, Max, and today I'm honored and pleased to welcome on the show Miss Mary Meston from Concentrix. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Max. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Great to have you. So Mary is the VP for Talent Management at Concentrix. And Concentrix is currently part of the Synex group, but they're separating at the moment. I hope I'm not divulging any confidential information.
No, you're not. It is public knowledge, and we've reported out, and the board recently approved that. So we're still projecting, we're about a month out from the spinning out and being on our own and being our own entity. And we're going to miss Synex. So we're still very, very close, but we're all very excited.
You were together for a couple of years only, right?
No, Synex, actually, if you look at where Concentrix came from, it's been about 16 years. It was a small little group that Concentrix has grown by acquisition substantially. And now we are substantially a large player in the industry, quite a large player, and absolutely would like to be on our own. And it just makes business sense. You know, those at the top. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Well, it is indeed a huge company. Today I work with some of your entities, but I understand Concentrix globally is well over 200,000 headcount, maybe 300,000, maybe more.
We're north of 250,000 right now. And with your helping us there in certain divisions, it could be 260 for all I know right now.
Yeah, it changes every day. And then certainly around this time of year, there's always a big ramp up before the Christmas holiday, lots of hiring going on. But you're not in those trenches anymore, Mary. I think that our audience will get something a little bit different today, where Mary is working more on the executive development and talent management at the executive level at the moment. Well, tell us a little bit about your role in Concentrix.
I'd love to. Thank you. And yes, I've been in the recruitment trenches. It was called recruitment then, and now it's talent acquisition. So that ages me quite a bit.
You were saying headhunting before.
Yes. I know, headhunting. And think about that now. It's like so politically not correct, right? Depending on where you're at. It used to
be fun. We used to take our rifles and go out and hunt for heads.
That's a really aggressive talent acquisition strategy, right? Yeah. No, I've progressed through all of the focuses in HR. I mean, I started as a benefits clerk, a payroll clerk, actually moved into recruiting and helped establish with a number of firms many moons ago, some of the first software development firms, and actually H-1B hiring and really focusing on that. I worked in California and progressed through all the phases and all the functions in HR, and really love the fact that I've been able to bring all that together, and really we're focused now with our executive set, really working on optimizing our talent. Because as we all know how difficult it is to find that right person, just let's talk about time, process, cost, all of that. Once you have them, you don't want to lose them, right? And it's really, really important to continue to develop them. It not only helps employee engagement, but that helps move a company forward, right? If you can grow all those quote unquote human assets, it helps a company move forward. And that's one of the levers in our innovation is grow your talent.
It can be so heartbreaking as a business owner when you lose a top talent. And I'm sure it's heartbreaking even if you're not the business owner, that you've got somebody who you've invested so much time in that leaves. You know, I'm now in my 40s, but 20 years ago, I remember thinking, my allegiance is to my career, and I need to keep moving every 2-3 years, just go get another job, expose myself to something new and keep growing. And I think studies have been made that's one way to optimize for salary growth, especially the early stages of your career. But now I have a bit of a different perspective, where I think life is too short to be sending out resumes every 2 years. You should find a place you like. How do you think about sort of job mobility for people as they get to the middle of their career or the golden years?
Hopefully the middle isn't the golden years now, because come on, the new 40 is 60. So we're moving the scale up. I think very much you've spoken at the time in one's career what the best strategy is. And it is very true. And I did this one in my younger days, to jump every 2 to 3 years. Some of it, I lived in the Silicon Valley and worked in the Silicon Valley during the .com days. And if your company wasn't purchased or purchasing someone every 2 years, that provided that career growth, that career jump. And that was really a strategy. I too am a believer mid-career, when you kind of top out and we have a really solid set of expertise, then it's great to find a place where you can grow and grow with the company and grow that expertise with the company, and not necessarily just look for the next 5% increase. There's much more of a different strategy. I know when I talk with people early in their careers, they're in a learning stage. So you're learning, growing, get what I can, let's move on. If I'm not getting the growth, I'm going to jump. Kind of mid-careers, people, I call it the listening stage. That's where you start listening to yourself as well as listening to those you work with. So it's the listening leader approach. It's key to being a really successful leader, being able to hear others, be collaborative, and to be very self-aware. And then there's the capstone of your career. I call it the legacy. And that's when I work with really senior executives, not necessarily just in age, but in career, where they're like, I want to leave something behind. What does that look like? And in working with senior executives that are at that stage, and it's not necessarily an age issue, but it is more about what they feel they've accomplished. That's where it's really a great time to work with senior executives. That's where I want to leave an innovation. I want to change something up. I want to make a difference, and it's a great place to, at least for me, to spend with these senior leaders, because there's where some of the most influential, even simple decisions are made.
That legacy translates, I imagine, into often an ideology, like a vision that they want to materialize.
Absolutely. You're no longer trying to learn your skill set, and you've performed and you know what you do. It's then, what do I want to leave that's beyond me, be it an ideology, an impact, an innovation. I know particularly in the space we're working with now and with the BPO industry, because we are such large groups, what we do impacts so many more. It's kind of that ripple effect. So it's very important to be very aware of the choices. And we have a number of senior leaders that are very into that legacy space about, we are a community. As we treat our employees, they impact the world. So it's a very significant place to play. And you're very conscious of your choices, particularly here in the States with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, or I guess globally as well, and the unrest that's been going on. There's a huge renewed focus on the importance of inclusions of all. And it's a matter of community. And that's a very interesting space to be, particularly with our leadership that is very focused on that.
Yeah, I've heard it. I had somebody on the show recently that was telling me about PepsiCo and how do you connect the people at PepsiCo with a sense of mission and purpose. And I made one of my nasty comments about, how do you get excited about selling sugary drinks? And I was told that for them, the mission was more about the people at PepsiCo and growing the business, and that, it has nothing to do with the amount of sugar inside the drinks that it gets them excited. And so you've got to find that environment where you can carry that ideology, or ideology maybe is too weighty a term, but just a set of principles and beliefs that you can put into the world. And I imagine that sometimes you get people who get promoted because they're super performers, and maybe they're not at that stage yet, right? They're not thinking legacy. They're just thinking performance and, where am I going to get my next raise, perhaps? Can you suss them out immediately? Or
well, you can find them. And some of that, it's where they're at in their career, what they're seeking. I find it for people, it's in that when they're just trying to get into that listening stage. I call the learning stage, when you're learning your function and you're becoming known and branded. It's the me stage. And the listening stage, you shift to the we stage. That's often typically middle management-ish, depending on, we could talk job titles. That is where you have to become responsible for the we not the me. And some make that shift better than others. Some, you ever hear the Peter Principle or topping out and why someone just can't get that next rung on the ladder?
Yeah.
What do you want to bet there's the me and we, there's something in there.
Yeah, I hear you like talking about children development stages almost.
Well, we are all children at heart, aren't we? It's just our bodies don't look it as we age.
Yeah.
And
Children
any development is it's development stages, right? Well,
Yeah.
and we can talk about people we know or public figures that get trapped in adolescence. Let's talk about political climate, right?
I watch a lot of comedy online, so I love watching those people who never grow up, and I think they're very entertaining. So I think, yeah, it's precious to preserve that child inside. But I'm here wearing a suit and a jacket and trying to look the part for my job.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you, Mary. I know I need a haircut, but tell me about dressing for success. Is that part of your job in town management, or is that something that people come to you with questions?
That's a really softer side of the corporate world, but we did have a chat about that, how important it is and how different and how much it's changing now with the world of work at home, or the Zoom land or COVID land or Corona land or whatever we want to call it, or the next normal. The having to dress to look the part is less and less important. And I've seen it. I've been around for several decades now where you look the part to be assumed you could do it. And now I really work with folks about be who you are, be authentic. I mean, within the appropriate, aspects and parameters, but just dressing the part rarely at senior, mid-senior, and senior levels, that doesn't
matter anymore.
It doesn't. Well, look, think of some of the names out there, and Steve Jobs was known for his look. We've got the Elon Musk look. I mean, think of these people, and they're not necessarily the suit and ties, are they?
Well, I mean, they have a brand, and we can talk about the authenticity and the brand. The message, the way Steve Jobs dressed was part of his brand. It was, I'm so passionate about finding the right design that I'm not going to take off my turtleneck. It's just going to be the same turtleneck all the time. I don't know what message that sends, actually. It's like, it doesn't matter how I dress as long as I build nice phones. I guess that's the message.
Well, I understood he, is in reading some of his stuff that he wanted to reduce the cognitive load about having to think about what he's going to wear, so he could put all that energy into design.
Come on, that sounds like such bullshit. It's really the cognitive load of how much. I mean, if you're a guy, all you have to do is like put on a shirt, put on a suit, you're done. Maybe it's a little bit more complicated.
I'm speaking from a female perspective, or more of my generation, where you had to worry about if everything matched, right? And you can't have the same top within every 2 weeks. And
I know. My wife at home, before she goes to the office, she asks me, even though I have no clue what to tell her. But, I figured it's better to have an opinion than no opinion. So I do comment.
And you're still standing. So you didn't say have a good opinion.
If you say it looks wonderful every time, then it doesn't sound correct. You have to mix in a little bit of criticism. I'm sure in your practice as well, the most exemplary leaders also expect you to push back a little bit and criticize.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I engage with executives, one of our initial conversations, it's about, we set the parameters of our relationship. And it's, I'm not your best friend. I'm not your yes man or woman. I am here to, help you achieve that which you want to achieve. And I'll be your sounding board. I'll be your mirror. I'll be your coach. And some days I might actually be the person that's pushing you. So I expect some resistance, or it's not working. And just to prep them ahead. And, you can tell those that really engage and want to, and those that are just kind of glad handing and just going along for the saying everything right because they don't want to step in something.
I mean, and there's I suppose, an awkwardness with the fact that you are an employee of Concentrix, and therefore there's probably, it's not like you're a psychologist, right? Yeah. There's no obligation to keep everything secret from you.
Wow, interesting. Well, you bring up a really important point in the role that I'm doing. And there have been some discussions about, keep someone external to the firm or bring them in. And it can go either way. And particularly, I'm very fortunate. I get to report directly to the CEO. And our parameters are, I share nothing that is of confidence. If someone needs to share something with you or you with them, I will coach the two of you to speak.
Okay.
And so we have some really clear boundaries, which is essential for this to work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But nobody's going to come and tell you, I want to kill the CEO.
Well, I would hope not, because one, that's illegal. That's really scary. That's a reportable event. My HR is going to come all out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're dealing with people who are a little bit more mature than to express things this way. I'm sure they'd find a better way to say that. But some advice from our listeners, some of which are not at the executive level and who want to bring the vision of who they want to become to life. At which point in your career is it good to bring in a coach? Let's say, you're starting out, you're a talent acquisition professional, and you want to, end up VP of HR. Should you get a coach? What kind of coach? Where do you start?
Yeah, that is a really timely question. Thank you. Because recently there's a gentleman within our larger company is starting on the path. He's in talent acquisition, and his goal is to be VP of HR. And true to one of our values, is to be bold. And he just reached out to me. He says, you don't know me, but I would love to have a mentor. I would want to be you someday. Will you talk to me?
Nice.
So when do you start? Whenever you have that question. When something's telling you to do it, you need to answer that, whatever the answer is. And many people go, well, I don't need a coach, or what is a coach? And coaching is different than therapy. I'm not licensed to do that. And therapy is dealing generally with the past. I like to frame coaching as dealing in the present and moving you to right action, whatever that is, depending on what your path is you choose. And so when to get a coach? Whenever you feel the key things are, I feel stuck. I feel there's more. I know I'm not doing something quite right. Something's unsettled. And fourth is, and hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but if you get feedback that certain XYZ performance, manner, behavior isn't working for you. I mean, that's kind of a key when you could reach out to someone.
Okay. So it's, because I had a different idea, because you're describing someone who is ambitious but has problems they want to solve and they want to address. And I thought that you have to be, a super positive, optimistic person. Everything is going right, and then you've got all the space, and now, like, you know what? I want to go even higher, and I'm going to go hire a coach because my life is in order, but I want to reach one more step.
It can be both of those. And again, it's about goal driven. So if people look at my credentials, I'm certified to do some curriculums called high performance coaching. And in that space, if that's how we frame that engagement, it is about just having more consistency, higher performance at a consistent level. My life's awesome, but I want it to be better. Most often, even those that thinks they have everything dialed in, there's something amiss. I mean, life is real. We're real people. Not every day's perfect. Not every conversation's perfect. Not every choice is perfect. So how do you manage that? So you can do coaching at that edge too.
Yeah. Certainly.
Coaching is not necessarily remediation.
Talent acquisition is one area where it's impossible to reach perfection. You're talking about areas for improvement, and it is impossible to have a perfect track record in recruitment. I think I can say that without, if somebody can prove me wrong, I'd love to meet them. I've never made a bad hire. I've never heard anybody say that, although that would be, if that person exists, I would love to interview them for the show.
Please, yes, I would like to meet them as well. Because we were saying there is, in talent acquisition, there's not perfection. And I was going to ask you, what do you scope as perfection? And you're saying a bad hire. And we could talk about what's a bad hire. So there's different ways of saying that. They didn't work out, they didn't fit in, they didn't succeed, they didn't bring in the numbers, whatever that is. But I don't think there is perfect in anything other than a hole-in-one in golf. Is that perfect?
Yeah. Even if you do make a good hire, you can always find there's probably a better hire out there. I mean, it's hard to measure those things, but I think retention is a good metric. And if you can tie it to the performance of the hire, of course, that's great as well. When you're doing more high volume, the cost per hire are good metrics. But having, with your long experience in TA and in HR, I'm sure you've been exposed to regrets and regretful hires. I'd like to ask you if there's a hire that comes back to mind. And of course, I don't want to name a job title or even a company name, but if you could go back to that moment where you hired this person, it didn't work out, and what our audiences can learn from your mistake.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one definitely comes to mind for me, and I will work my best to cloak identity.
To hide the identity.
Yeah, and if you notice me already kind of shifting here, but I'm going to kind of share the blame in a weird way. So VP of HR in a startup, we were hiring a key salesperson, and through my process, I was like, this is a no-go. And it wasn't what they could do. It was going to be about their fit, much more cultural fit, right? Mm-hmm. And I was a solid no. Senior team members were a solid yes, because they were looking at what he could do and has done for others. And I'm like, this is going to destroy the firm. Anyway, he was brought on, and our numbers popped for a short while. And then, unfortunately, he kind of crossed some boundaries with people as well as markets. And he left the firm in a worse state than when he started with us. Yeah. So it was a long, hard lesson in, one, trusting your gut, two, looking at not what you can, not more than just will do and can do, but also fit, and taking a longer view of what is success, what your mission is.
I have a lot of names that come to mind where, the same description and speech would have been easily applicable to this situation. Do not hire based on resume. Do not hire based on track record, because somebody's done it before somewhere else does not mean they're gonna be able to replicate, or that they even want to in the new place. Maybe they're a different person. They're not interested in doing the same type of work, and it's just not going to relate. So track record is not enough. You have to have something else on
Absolutely.
Top of that. Yeah.
That is very insightfully put. It is, because it's very true. I mean, while we do need I know you can do this, or you have the history that suggests that, it's really about, you have to meet that person in the here and now. And I think it's pretty safe to say that in very rare cases, one's performance really fits in with all the else that's going on in the context of the company, right? Place, time, people. So just because they did it once doesn't mean you're going to replicate it, because that would be almost kind of scientific and cloning, right?
Yeah, we're not robots just yet.
Not yet, but I hear they're working on it.
Yeah. So we are. And to wrap up our discussion, Mary, and put it in the 2020 context, this year has been testing for a lot of people and for organizations. I believe Concentrix has done huge progress in transitioning to work from home and work at home and work from anywhere, perhaps. Can you share with us some success stories from your executive team on how that transition was handled, and what hidden talents this challenging year may have put to the fore and revealed in your team?
Yeah, awesome. That is a great way to kind of wrap this, because I think this year, and I think everyone can attest to this year has been one of the most difficult for any business where you're at. Global pandemic. And then certain businesses, it's been a bigger issue. We are global, obviously. We have 250,000 people, so it's a big footprint to manage. And
250,000.
Yeah, 250,000 is like kind of scary, right? So when you think about it, we went from in an industry where it was primarily work in a cubicle, work in an office, to work from home almost overnight. Our senior team, I have to say, they worked incredibly well together to get we knew what the mission was: get everybody working from home as quickly as you can for our clients and for our people while staying safe. And because of such a strong culture build we have and buy-in to the culture, the team worked incredibly well to, and I can't share data, but quote unquote, almost overnight, make that happen, right? Just imagine what that takes. And here we are, 8 months after COVID really kind of started, having a vast majority of the group still working from home where possible. Actually, and I think this industry, I'm speaking up for this, I don't know for a fact, but in seeing this, I think this industry may take a look at work from home is going to become more popular or more the manner. I don't know if it'll ever be the only way, but I think that just shows we could remain in business and we didn't have to have everyone contained, in a cubicle or in an office. And I want to, thank and even express, gratitude from so many, 250,000 of us to the senior executives for pulling together so quickly and really being clear on that purpose. And it's amazing when someone's clear on a purpose and you have a group clear on a purpose, you can move mountains, right? Or you could actually, move to 100,000s of computers like that.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see what happened to the industry this year. It was difficult, of course, for some people. We've seen,
Yes.
divorce rates go up, suicides rates, alcohol consumption, and other indicators that show that the stressors on the market have been felt. With the commuting time being reduced to zero, however, we can look at it as perhaps the day is less crowded with waste. Maybe it's a little bit more purposeful. Is that how your executive team is experiencing it? Because I know at the management level, managing people remotely takes probably even more time than doing it in the office where you can have everybody in a room.
Right.
So are they feeling the weight of those extra hours, or they're enjoying the freedom from commute? Well, where's the balance?
Where's the balance? It's an interesting balance. Vast majority, because we are global, a lot of what we did was, via telecommunications, so it wasn't necessarily as in person. But for those that had the in-person experiences, initially very difficult. A lot of us miss, and who doesn't miss that contact? That said, people are finding, and it's going on two different camps here, they're actually working more because they're in their home. You don't have to get up, commute, change, all that logistical stuff is gone. So you just fill your work into that space. So as we talk about setting boundaries, right? Others have actually found, instead of working into that space, that they're getting really good about boundaries and really finding that they're more of themselves, both in work and home. So I've had others go the other way. It wasn't necessarily divorce and suicide, but more family time, more presence. I'm not on the road. So I wouldn't say it's one or the other. It really just depends on individual cases. I think we can speak to this around any firm, anyone, be it this or any company. I mean, the year has been loaded with add COVID as a stressor, and then add business as a stressor, add personal schooling. And if you look at all those stressors, it's a stressful time for anyone, wherever you're at. And so that is going to impact the greater population.
Well, I'm taking a lot of positives from your answer, with people spending more time at home and being able to put in more hours and, into important work as well. Right. And so obviously top executives will respond to challenges with a good level of resiliency, and it sounds like they have, and they've done a good job of transitioning the company at a scale that nobody could have imagined.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing those stories, Mary.
Oh, thank you for asking.
Wish you and your team much success in 2021, and thank you for coming to the show.
Well, thank you, Max. Awesome. Here's to everyone's good 2021.
There you go.
That was Mary Meston, VP of Talent Management at Concentrix, reminding us to create space That's what she does for the executives at Concentrix and what she reminds us to do for ourselves. I enjoyed it, as I hope you did as well. If you did, please follow us. Please follow the Recruitment Hackers Podcast. And if you'd like to be on the show or know somebody who I should interview, remember to reach out. hello@talkpush.com. I'm always looking for more interesting people to talk to. Thank you.